Alright, so this is going to be a clear-cut video on how to create clear-cut boundaries on in your relationships, whether that's with your friends, with your family, with your significant other, whatever that is. And this is a realization that took a lot of time for me to like come through, because for the longest time I was a nice guy. I had a lot of like trouble saying no to people whenever they asked me for help or anything in general. I had a lot of trouble. Now, the basic understanding I came to realize is that the reason I was so afraid to say no was because I didn't want to face the consequences, which was like negative emotions, negative feedback from them. If I said no to a certain person, let's say one of my friends, they will, you know, react negatively. They will be like, "Oh, you are not a good friend. Oh, why are you doing this?" Something like that. It could be with your parents. I think parents are a very good example, because a lot of my friends suffer from this exact problem. A lot of parents have a really, like, especially in India, a lot of parents have like over the top boundaries of what you can do and what you cannot do. Even if you're way past like 18, I know one of my friend has a boundary of like he cannot go out of his house, and if it's like after 10 p.m., and that dude is like 25. Like, does that make sense for a 25-year-old grown ass man to not be able to go outside of his home because his parents said no, because his dad and mom said no? Like, does that make sense? He's not disabled by any kind. He's a fully grown man that has his own job, that is taking well, like, good care of himself. Does that make sense for him to not be able to go out? Why is that happening? Because the only reason is because he's allowing his parents to dictate what he can and he cannot do. He's not taking his own responsibility in his own hand. Now, I'm not saying this is easy by any means. For people like that, for people like me, like I was in the past, this whole ordeal is going to take, it's going to be a lot more discomfort. It's going to create so much discomfort in the first few times you do it. And once you get the hang of it, it will eventually feel better. But there's a core understanding in this case, though, that I think, especially in the case of like romantic relationships, for your boyfriend or girlfriend or your wife or your husband, you have to understand, like, the reason a lot of men have problem saying no to their significant other is because they are in scarcity. They think if they say no to this one, and if they get angry and they leave me, for if it's a major decision, of course, like, nobody's gonna leave you over small decisions. But if it's a major decision and you say no, and you are afraid that she's going to leave, in the sense that if you are living in scarcity, like I said, you are afraid she will leave, right? The deeper understanding here is that you are not, like, of course you are afraid that she will leave, right? But why are you afraid that she will leave? There is a deeper reasoning into this. You are afraid because, like, if she leaves, you will not have anyone else to be your significant other, and that's where like scarcity comes into play. For a lot of like men in general, they're afraid, like, if they lose this person that they have in life, they are left with no options, and that is very freaking sad. And it's the same not just in relationship, in business too. If you have a boss that is asking you to come work overtime when you don't want to, the only reason you're not saying no is because you want your job. Is that right or is that wrong? But what you had, like, what you were like a grade, like A grade, A star player, right? A lot, like, you were really good at what you did, and if you applied in any other company, you will easily get your jobs. I know a lot of people in this exact section of the video will have the excuses like, oh, but getting a job in this market of recession is very hard. No, shut your excuses. There's always opportunity in whatever market you are in. The only thing that is stopping you from like actually finding and using them is your own belief system. So just get over it. Stop watching my video. But yeah, anyway, saying no, you will feel bad saying no because you are in scarcity, because you think if you lose this one, you will not have any. But what if you come from abundance? Abundance in the sense, like, what if you know that if you leave this person, if you leave this significant other, you know you can find another one just as good, if not better. What if you think if you leave this job, you can find another one, if not better? I know a lot of people will ask, oh, if I can find better, if I have abundance, if I can find better, why will I stick with this one? There's a thing called emotional connection, right? You don't want to leave your parents because someone else might be a better parent to you. That's not how it works. But yeah, uh, where was I? I'm getting off track. Saying no. Yeah, so the basic understanding is coming from scarcity, right? But the easiest fruit, lowest hanging fruit where you can start to say no is with your friends, with your male friends, guy friends basically. A lot of guy friends over the time, like if you are a very nice guy, you have probably like let them, overstep overstep your boundaries, and do stuff that you don't want to do, right? And you probably like allowed them to do so by not saying no, by not actually reacting, not actually pushing them away when your boundary was getting broken into, by not actually saying no, because it would have caused discomfort. Oh, I don't want to make them feel bad, man. Only oh okay, so the biggest understanding you will understand is like, you don't want to make them feel bad, but you are okay with feeling bad yourself, because when your boundaries get like stepped on, you are feeling bad. So you're saying that person, like your friend, is much more important than you, right? And that is a very low self-esteem thing. That means you have very low self-worth. You don't have any self-respect for yourself. Because a person with really high self-esteem and self-respect will actually care more about himself than others. Now, I'm not saying they are selfish, but they put themselves first before anyone else. And this is the thing with nice guys. Like I was before, I used to put people before me, right? But now, when I started saying no, when I started taking more control of my life, I I'm not afraid to say no to whatever that is. I'm not afraid to say no to opportunities, like financial opportunities that will bring me a lot of money, but that require my full attention, right? I don't want to get bogged down working like 10 hours for something, and like it can be fun, but I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to spend my 10 hours every day doing something for extra money. That is not my thing. I come from abundance. Now, I'm not saying I'm rich 24/7, but I know that I will be able to get money no matter what. That is a belief system I have, and it has worked really well for me. And one of my core beliefs is like, no matter what happens, it will work out anyway. It always works out for me, and that has like definitely helped a lot of my like dealings with people in general. Uh, Nowadays, like if it's with, let's say, um, Pat, nowadays anyone anyone in general, I am not afraid to say no if I don't want to do something, whether that's with my closest friends, whether that's with my parents. You know, I know a lot of people try to guilt trip you into doing the decision if you say no. Like if you have a clear cut boundary of, like, let's say for example, you don't drink alcohol, right? This is a very clear cut boundary. I know a lot of people, let's say for example, I will give you a scenario that you can easily understand. Let's say you are in college, right? You don't drink alcohol for whatever reason, right? Maybe it's health reason, maybe it's religious reasons, whatever. You don't drink alcohol, but you are a very very nice guy. You don't like saying no to people. What happens? Everyone in the class peer pressures you into doing that, right? A nice guy will cave in. A nice guy will say, sure, one shot only. I'm not, and it might spiral down to a few more shots or whatever. But the thing is, a nice guy will cave in. He will say yes. And once you let that happen, your friends know that you don't have real boundaries around alcohol. The keyword was real. You don't have real boundaries around alcohol. Once you let that happen once without any resistance, they are going to try again and again. Whenever you guys meet, oh, let's drink alcohol. Whenever you guys hang out, oh, let's drink alcohol. I, I'm using an extreme example, but it's a common example that a lot of people can relate with. And just replace alcohol with whatever that is happening with you, however your boundary is getting up like enroached on. The thing is, once it starts happening, once the domino starts falling, it's going to fall until you stop where you want to stop. Basically, you have to cut out the line. You have to draw the line. That is like doing it later is much more harder than doing it upfront, but it is definitely something inside your control. Like I said, the thing with self respect. If you respect yourself right now in this moment and your boundary is getting like stepped on, I want you to say no, because I want you to put yourself first before the other person that wants you to do and something that you don't want to do. That should be a first and foremost priority. The only person that you should prioritize the most in the world is yourself. Then you can prioritize other people. You don't have to be selfish by any means. It only means you respect yourself more than anyone else. And that is a crucial, a very important understanding that will completely change how you deal with people. Because the fact is, if you have like clear cut boundaries, your self esteem will eventually like go up and up and up, and you will have a newfound like respect for yourself. You will feel good in your own skin, because you know you will not be doing things that, if like external events like force you to. Everything at the end of the day that is within you is inside your control. Now the choice is whether you will use that power to say no, or whether you will let yourself like be pushed around by anyone else, and not have like the slightest bit of respect to set up some boundaries for yourself. The choice is yours. Peace.